Hello, and welcome to another episode of Get Your Fill Financial Independence and Long Life, where we explore ways to achieve those two goals. And in case you're having trouble doing it on your own, we invite experts on to help us. So today I am psyched. We have Jas Takhar. Did I just script your name? Takhar, yeah.
No, sounds perfect. Sounds perfect.
We have Jas Takhar with us today. He is, in addition to being a good looking guy, and if you're not watching this on video, you really have to do that. He is he helps people to buy, sell, and invest in real estate. He has his company in Canada has been in the top three, if not number one, for the last decade. So he knows what he's doing. And he also helps other real estate professionals to promote themselves and to have, manage their public voice with his company From the Ground Up Media. So Jas, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm really psyched you're here.
I really appreciate it, Christine, and the check's in the mail for the good-looking comments. So thank you for that. It's really, it always is really, really cool to hear some of the accomplishments of my team, and I really like to emphasize team, because without the guys and gals, especially in the leadership roles, and right down to the person who answers the phone, without them there would not be a Jas like whatsoever. As well, I also wanted to just give you a big kudos, because as a fellow content creator, podcast host as well, I know how tough it is to get guests, book them, record, edit, put out the content, like actually literally just like put yourself out there as much as you have. Congratulations for doing that. And then obviously a massive congratulations to you for all the success you've had, because I know where your podcast ranks all across the world. And so that takes a lot of consistency and persistence, and you've obviously done that. So big kudos to you.
Thank you very much. Awesome. I'll send you the check right back.
It's just a big love affair, Christine.
Exactly.
The listeners are like, oh my God, this is crazy.
The Mutual Admiration Society. We love
Yes.
it. So Jas, before we get started, is that your phone number that is across your chest there?
This here, oh God, okay. I actually didn't even know. In all honesty, I've been doing 4 different sets of podcasts today. Today's kind of my day where I do a lot of my featured ons, and so I like to use the magic of repurposing, and we'll I'm sure talk about that in terms of content. So I'm always switching outfits when I'm recording on the same day, and this is just something that was hanging here. This is a part of my text community, and so it's not my cell number by any means. It is the phone number to my text community, where I have a little over now 1,000 people that receive daily, not daily, I should say probably weekly or bi-weekly inspirational quotes, maybe my podcast episode, a place where they can actually get a hold of me and ask questions about real estate investing, or if it's a real estate agent, some sales tips and stuff. And so I'm a marketer. I like to market, and so this came to me as an idea, and I said, let's run with it and give it a shot. So thank you for noticing.
Well, it's interesting, because when I've talked to people who are really excellent at marketing, so many of us we're like, oh, I don't want to bother people, and I don't want to, and people who are really good at what they do and really excel at the whole media thing, they're just like, yeah, my friends unfriended me because I was like sending so much content out there. I remember talking to this woman called Sheila Bella, really, really super person, very successful. And she was just like, yeah, my friends are like, stop sending us all this stuff on Instagram. We're sick of looking at you. And I'm like, she's like, hey, I don't care. Now she's like got 2 7-figure businesses, and, it's coming from nothing. So I appreciate it. There's no such thing, right, don't be ashamed to plug yourself right?
No, I mean, for anybody, if whoever's listening and watching right now, they want results in business, you need to put yourself out there. Get used to, in my opinion, as quickly as possible to hear no's, because once you get used to it and have that thick skin, then you realize that that's reality. There's going to be people who like you. There's going to be people who don't like you. And so what? Just move on. In fact, I think it's the best thing when someone says no to me, because I don't really hear it as a no. I hear it as a not yet, because they're just not ready for whatever my product or service was at that time. And I've come to learn over time, because like all I've ever done is sales and service for the last 27 years, that as long as you don't try to shove something down someone's throat, you educate them, you inform them as much as possible, that allows them to make a quality decision themselves. Because we all know, like Christine, if you and I walk into a store and someone asks us, hey, can I help you, the first thing we say is no. Humans are just like,
Right. I
we
just
like
walked
the
in. I
path
don't know
of
what I want.
least
But 5 minutes
resistance.
later, where are they?
Exactly. Exactly, right? Exactly. And so I think the best thing to do is just give away the information and education up front. But with that is going to come you hearing no a lot. And it, for me anyways, it's been the hundreds of thousands of no's that I've heard that has allowed me to get to the thousand yeses that have changed the course of my life. And I'm not talking about just somebody who said yes and bought like a product or service from me, but I'm talking about some yeses was like getting people on a podcast, getting on Christine's podcast. I don't know where this is going to take me. Like, who knows, right? Somebody
Exactly.
might be listening in Barbados right now and resonate with me, reach out, and who knows, maybe we're going to be business partners for life. Like, you just never
Right.
ever know. But to get those yeses, to think that you're not going to hear tons of no's would be naive. And so just get used to it as quickly as possible. I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I mean, they're persistent as you know what. Like, no's not even in their vocabulary, like,
Right.
right? And so somewhere though, I think as teenagers, or definitely as adults, we lose that, right? As a kid, like you heard no, just one year out the other.
Right.
And as we got older, maybe because we got told by teachers, guidance counselors, parents, grandparents, whatever it was, friends, that you shouldn't be asking for stuff all the time. I think you should ask for anything you want. Just be prepared to hear no.
Right.
But get in the habit of asking, because you'll, like, whatever's valuable in your life, it's going to come from asking, either asking someone for help, asking someone to do business with you, asking for support, asking for somebody to follow you on Instagram. And when people get fed up with you, just have the respect of not sending them junk because they've obviously said to you they don't want it, and just go look for someone else. There's 7 billion, almost 8 billion, sorry, people on this planet. You're not going to run out.
Somebody's going to like us. Right.
Exactly. Just, but it's going to take some time, right? And that's where you want to start to maybe cultivate and nurture a community of like-minded people that do resonate with you, and that you resonate with, because you, like, I have a real estate community of clients that I've been nurturing now for 17 years, a little over 11,147 people. Like, I know the number. We have it. Like, I've been cultivating this for a very long time. And those numbers are great. And I saw your reaction to it, and I appreciate it. But the truth of the matter is, like, if you gave me 147 people, I would be just as deadly, because I would just give more time and more of my effort to that 147 people. And so it's not even the number that matters as much, in my opinion. It's the quality of people in your community, right? So when I'm speaking to newer real estate agents, for example, and I have a team of 54 agents that I get to talk to on a regular basis, they're always trying to wow me with their big quantity numbers. And I'm like, guys, anybody can go buy, like back in the days of big yellow pages, or like you can just buy a list from Google these days. It's the quality. How many of those people out of the 500 that you just told me would answer your call if they saw your name on their screen? That to me is quality, not like the quantity just doesn't matter.
Right. Right. True. True. So Jas, tell me, were you just like, it sounds like you were born for this. I mean, we just like out of the cradle right into selling. Like, how did you get started?
I think so. I'm glad that you mentioned it, because my team always gets a little aggravated with me when I tell them that. I came out of mommy, and never stopped asking for milk. Like, my mentality of making sure I got milk from mommy has been kind of me. And looking back at 6 and 7, I was the kid that had my hand up, like in an eager way to help with the book sale and the bake sale, knocking on doors. Like, I'm an East Indian descent, so we don't really celebrate Christmas, but I still wanted to help sell the Christmas ornaments, right? I think it's very easy to tell why now, because I just wanted to probably get out of class. I didn't like the classroom setting, but at the age of 12 is when it really I knew that this is something I'm going to do for a long time, which I got my first paper route, and I had to go knock on those same doors, but this time I got paid for it, and I was like, whoa, what, like, and I get to do whatever I want with this money. Like, I'm talking about, this is I'm 40 now, so I was probably 12. I was 1990, 1992, 1993-ish, right? So you can imagine what $100, like maybe $50, felt like $10,000 to me, right?
Yeah,
But
especially as a 12-year-old, right?
a 12-year-old, right? And I knew what I was going to spend it on was burger and fries and arcade games, right? But my parents, they never said anything to me. Like, they never said I had to save it. They just let me be a kid. But I just, like, once I got paid for it, I was hooked. I was like, whoa, I was gonna knock on these doors for free anyways. Like, I thought it was fun, like making games out of it just before knocking on someone's door. I'm looking at the car that they have, the color of car, the plants that they had, trying to build rapport as quickly as possible. Because I knew if I could make someone smile, I could think maybe they'll think I'm cute, or I just change their state somehow. There's a much better chance of them staying at the door rather than which I didn't want them to do, which was slam the door in my face.
Right.
So it's quite like binary if you really think about it. I was just like, how can I keep somebody from slamming the door in my face? So when I started getting paid for it, I was like, I want to do this all the time. I thought I was going to have a paper route my whole life, probably at the age of 12, right? Because
Paper
I liked
man.
it. Paper man, right? I like that. But then at the age of 15, 16, I did my first co-op placement with like in high school, where they placed me at a retail store, and it was helping marathon runners and sprinters, and that's when I really got this knack for understanding product knowledge. Like, I didn't need to have that with papers, right? And like, it's like, whatever, it's just a paper. But with helping sprinters and marathon runners, that's when I needed to make sure I understood how the shoe was made, and why one shoe is better than another shoe. And 30 years later, or whatever it's been, 25 years later, I can tell you, like, the way that you stand and the way that you walk, I can still tell you what shoe is going to be better for you. That has serviced me and served me, like, right up until now. Like, as a real estate salesperson, I know what areas are good to invest. I know what areas, what type of homes or condos you should be, what floor plans you should be looking at. So just getting that product knowledge at such a young age, getting the importance of product knowledge at such a young age, has stuck with me. And then I went into the banking industry, and then I went into car sales, which was probably the biggest jump for me, because that was the first time I jumped from salaried and hourly paid to commission paid. And you have to work, like, to get paid, you got to work extra hours, right? And so here in Toronto, Canada, Ontario is the province, we have a law that does not allow car dealerships to be open on Sundays. So, like, but I was there 6 days a week, and if they were open on Sundays at the age of 20, 21, I would have been there all, like, 7 days a week, because I knew the more work I put in, the more results I'm going to get. I just need to keep hearing those no's, because I'm going to be one step closer to a yes. And 17 years ago, there was one ticket item that was at the top of the mountain. It's the biggest purchase that the average person's going to make, which is real estate, generally speaking.
Right.
And I knew, for a lack of a better word, I didn't conquer that yet. And I did well leading up to all those other industries. And, like, really quickly, I stayed in those industries: banking, shoe sales, papers, the car sales, all at like 2.5 to 3 years at a time. So there weren't like 3-month stints that I was doing, right? And I did well in each of them, but it was real estate that I wanted to conquer. And I also I want to invest in real estate. And so it just felt like the right match for me. And that's how I got started in real estate.
Wow. But you said product knowledge, but it's more than product knowledge, right? And to understand what shoe somebody needs, you have to understand them, right? How do they walk? How do they stand? You've got to ask questions. And I think that's what makes a good salesperson, right? You're not just, let me tell you all about these shoes. It's like, you tell me, how are you going to use these shoes? How are you going to, right? I mean, that's really the key.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when people see like some of my clips on Instagram, or maybe even like when I'm on a podcast like this, it's like, holy crap, this guy talks a lot. Like, does he ever shut up? Right. And I get that. Like, I totally understand that. Right. And sometimes I feel like that. Like, I just go off on the soapbox and I kind of like, I black out. I'm gonna finish this podcast and my team's gonna, like, now they don't ask me anymore, but they used to ask me all the time, like, what was that about? I was like, I have no clue. Like, I black out, I forget the questions, and I just go on. I just want to bring as much value in a short period of time. The truth is, though, when I'm speaking to somebody in sales, like in a sales transaction, it's all about asking questions. I have my 4 or 5 open-ended questions. I ask very little close-ended questions because I've come to realize it's exactly what you said, Christine. It's, why is this important for you? What are you looking into accomplishing? When would be the right time for you to move forward? Who else would be interested in doing this with you? Like, I got my stuff pretty down, like down to a pattern now. And now it's a matter of listening and then realizing that sometimes you might not have a product or service that somebody actually needs.
Right.
Right. Like, I always laugh at that one scene. I'm not sure if you saw Wolf of Wall Street, where the guy Jordan Belfort, he's talking about he's on stage and he's saying, how do you sell this pen? You know, I always laugh at that question because to me it's the silliest question, because like, how do you actually sell a pen? Like in one sentence. You need to ask a lot of questions. Do they even need a pen? Right? Like, and stop trying to sell, like actually sell. I think the best way to sell is not by talking about your product or service.
Right.
Build rapport, build relationship, ask questions, and then if there's a fit, reverse engineer what product or service you have.
Yeah. Well, and in the case of real estate, I mean, the whole world is your oyster, right? I mean, you can't just say, oh, it doesn't sound like you're a fit for the one house that I have to sell, right? You want to understand what they want and then go find it. I mean, it's not, I don't want to say it's not rocket science because a lot of people don't do it properly, but maybe it is
Yeah.
rocket
Well, I think
science. But you were natural is what I'm saying. You
yeah,
instinctively,
and I
I think, knew
appreciate
that.
that. Yeah, yeah, and I appreciate that. And I think you asked that question too. Like, did you just come out of the cradle like this with that? I think I did. Like, I've always had a lot of energy. I kind of, as a kid, liked attention. I'm the youngest of 3 brothers, which is always a healthy reminder that you're closer to the bottom than you are to the top. God bless my 2 older brothers. I mean, without them, my parents worked all day. Like, my father was a taxi driver, my mother was a factory worker. My 2 brothers really, really parented me, and they both had 2 different skill set. One was done with love and the other one was done with just being like hard love. You know, had like, I liked their attention, and so growing up I could tell why I wanted to be on sales calls, why I wanted to meet people. And then when this camera stuff came in content creation, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get good with this. I'm going to work really hard in doing as many podcasts for my own. Like, I'm going to host as many podcasts as I possibly can, but I'm also going to get on other people's podcasts because I just want to put in the reps. Like, sometimes, like, I mean, your podcast is ultra successful, but there's times where I'm on somebody else's podcast who's their first one, and my team's like, well, it's his first one. I'm like, I don't care if he has like no listeners or she has no listeners. I'm doing it for, like, hopefully I bring them value, the actual host, but then I'm also just putting in one extra rep. It's like just lifting that weight for that one extra time. It's that one extra rep that really builds the strength.
Yeah, it's true. The
Yeah.
last one, when you just think you can't possibly do anything else. Yeah, good. Excellent. So bring us up to like today. So what's like a typical day for you? I know you got like many balls in the air. So what does it look like and what do you love to do?
Well, for me, I mean, between the real estate company, the 54 agents, we have 5 support staff in the real estate organization. On the media side, we're about 9 months in now. So like complete startup mode. We have 6 staff members. I say we because I have a business partner in my media company. I also have a business partner in my real estate company, 2 separate people. And my day really consists of creating content. So I produce about 15 to 20 pieces of content a day on all kind of the platforms. I am obsessed with content because I think it really is the best way to build awareness for whatever you're looking for. We're so blessed, all of us in 2022, to have all these platforms, and we're connecting with people right across the world. So that's something that I focus a lot of my days, like a lot of my hours in my day, on content creation. But I'm still like speaking to clients. I time block generally, so I have client calls between 1 and 6 on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Mondays and Fridays are kind of my working on the business days. But anybody who has staff, you know that, and clients, staff and clients, you know that you're putting out a lot of fires on a regular basis, right? And so luckily I have a lot of, like, I have thick skin. Not to say I don't get beat up sometimes, and just probably 20 days a year that I don't want to do any of this. And I'm like, the heck am I doing? Why am I doing all this? Right? Like, why am I it's only about 20 days, so I'm okay. But the other 345 days I come in upbeat. We always laugh that around here, like, what are we going to try to do today? And we say, we're going to try to take over the business world today. So I failed now for 40 years. I haven't been able
But
to
you're
take
failing
over
up,
the business.
right?
I'm failing forward, I like to say,
Yeah,
but I like
failing
the
forward,
failing up.
exactly.
I like that as well. I'm really just trying to get better every single day. That's what excites me. And developing leaders. Like now I have a leadership group in both companies that it's just so exciting to see them come out of their shells. Because for me, I probably, like, the guy that you see in front of you now, where I'm just a lot more comfortable in this setting. I'm not worried about how you're judging me, with all due respect. If you like, and any of your viewers or listeners are, because it's like, well, if you don't like me, that's okay. Like, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And you can have your own opinion, right? Where I want to see that happen for some, like, people that are really, really close in my core businesses. And first and foremost, I'm a father. I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they don't really care if somebody didn't buy a house today, or I did a video and it didn't do well or something like that. They just don't care. And that really humbles me very, very quickly when I walk inside that door, alongside my wife, who she humbles me really quickly, actually. But I'm excited to see. We've helped a little over 750 buyers, sellers, and investors every year for the last 5-6 years, which is up from about 500 the 5-year set before that. And
Fantastic.
I want to do, I don't tell anybody to impress you. It's more to impress upon you where all this data is coming from. That I want to see that get to 1,000 clients. I want to see if we have enough staff, and how do we build systems around that. And then on the media side, we right now have 24 clients that use our services for helping them create content, edit content, post content for them. I would like to see that get to 100. Like, that's the next kind of window I want to get to. I just want to see how far I can take this skill set that I have, which is, I think, God-given. I know I suck at 97% of things, meaning I can't spell half the words I say, Christine. I don't have a computer. I don't send emails. I reply back to anybody who sends me an email, like, when do you want to get on a call? Because I just feel like I'm better on a phone call than I am typing. I still type like this when a computer comes in front of my face. I'm so glad for the iPhone that lets you swipe stuff, because I just swipe. I can't like, there's this piece of art behind me. Team knows, don't put a hammer in Jas's hands. I don't know what the heck to do with it. There is so many things I suck. I can't cook. I'm glad for Uber Eats and Skip the Dishes. So there's all these things that I suck at, but I know there's 3% of stuff that not only am I good at, just feedback from people, I actually enjoy it. And so what I decided to do 5 years ago was, I'm going to go all in on my strengths in the hopes of hitting grand slams and home runs, rather than trying to make some incremental changes on my weaknesses, which would probably allow me to hit some singles and doubles. And I know teams win by hitting singles and doubles, but I like grand slams and home runs. And I want to I want to play in this hybrid of what I'm very passionate about and what I enjoy and what I'm actually good at. And for everybody who's listening or watching, I think if you know the game of poker, that's like having, you have the best hand, you're sitting at a table, you see people shaking, maybe whatever tells they have. When you know you have the best hand, that's the time you put in all your chips. Go all in. And that's kind of where I'm in right now. Like I'm just really seeing how far can I take this skill set.
Yeah. And it's interesting. There was, I think we're getting over it now, but for a long time, there was that idea that you should be working on your weaknesses, like, let's get better at the things that we're not that great at. Like, no, the heck with that, man. Let's just go all in on the stuff we're really great at. And instead of being mediocre at everything, we can be awesome at something and everything else
And you're gonna
outsource,
enjoy and you're gonna enjoy it, right? Oh my God, like
Right.
outsource.
Exactly.
I delegate everything. So I think that's one of the 1% of the 3% that I'm really good at is delegation. I'm not afraid. Like I delegate it all of it. Like I literally sat down here today and everything was set up. The only thing I had to do was put these earbuds in. And before we got on the recording, you were saying, well, Jas, I can't see you yet. I was like, Christine, it's going to happen. Thank you so much for your patience. Because I know I got the crew around me to do it. Like they'll figure it out. And we have problems all the time. In fact, one of the HD cameras wasn't working today. So we know a backup but that's them thinking about that, right?
Right.
To your point of like years ago or the last decade of people telling us to fix our weaknesses. I mean, that's where I think the self-help industry has blossomed, right? It's one of the biggest industries in the bookstore, like the biggest shelves around the self-help. And I'm all about those books and personal development. But I just think that this rhetoric of that knowledge is power, I think it's wrong. I think it's the use of knowledge that's actually power, right? And
Exactly.
so if you just read a lot of books, I mean, that's great, but if you don't use
You don't
any of all
implement
that,
anything.
if you don't implement anything, what are we doing here, right? And
Right.
when you find something that you're passionate about, that you actually enjoy, it's funny because the results will be like come to you a lot quicker and they'll be a lot bigger because it's going to be hard for someone to outwork you because it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
So if you wanted to get really good at being a podcaster or being on other people's podcasts or being like business, having like an entrepreneur, you have to like try a lot of stuff, but you better enjoy it, because if you're doing it to impress somebody, that's going to wear off, because you might actually even have some success and buy a Ferrari, but then are you going to need another one? Like, what's going to keep you going? And I hope it's a bigger vision, right? I hope it's more than just materialistic, like money and all that kind of stuff, because I just don't think that lasts long. It's truly finding happiness, because like I mentioned, you'll just work harder. You'll wake up in the morning, you'll have this spring in your step, you're going to want to put in the extra hours at night, and one extra hour a night doesn't seem like a lot if you're working 5 days a week. It doesn't even maybe seem like a lot at the end of the month, but wow, at the end of the year and at the end of 5 years, now you're talking about like 10, 15, 20 extra weeks of work, compared to if you didn't put in that extra hour. You can pick up on so much more by just putting in that extra time.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. So let's say that I want to touch a little bit on both of the aspects, or two of the aspects of your expertise. Like, let's say that I'm a new investor and I'm thinking, okay, I just don't know where to start. What kind of questions do you ask your new investors to kind of figure out what would be good for them? Because there's a lot of
Yeah,
different
so
ways
I
to
mean,
invest, obviously, right?
100%. Yeah. I obviously focus on real estate. I'm more biased towards real estate. I just
No,
think
I mean,
it's
even within real estate, right? You could buy
100.
something to fix and
Yes.
flip. You could buy something like,
Yep.
house hack, you could do a, multifamily, you could buy a
Yep.
huge apartment building, commercial, there's a lot of different ways to do real estate investing.
Well, you definitely know a lot more than the average person. I mean, just all the
Well, I'm a real
strategies
estate
and stuff. So
agent.
great. There you go. That's very easy. So you know that. And so I generally would start off like, what's your long-term goals? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you doing this more for cash flow? Are you looking into creating wealth? Can you do the work yourself? Right? Or are you like me who can't pick up a hammer?
No hammers
Are you
for
looking,
Jas.
right? Are you looking for something that's active? Are you looking for something that's passive? Right? And passive meaning, do you want to maybe just invest into a mortgage investment? What we do a lot here in Toronto, for example, is pre-construction condos, right? And it's very passive. It's actually very boring. It's like watching paint dry, because you're going to buy something you're buying something today that's going to be built for 3 years out, and all you're doing is putting down deposit checks. In Ontario, in our province, you have to put down 20% as an investor, but a new build allows you to do that over a 3-year period. But you'll
Oh,
get
wow.
returns as high as 30% year over year return. And so it's very passive, and it can become like very, very lucrative, especially if you hold on to it. So another question I ask is, are you going to be a buy and hold investor? Personally, my organization, we focus 95% of our content, education, and actual opportunities around buying and holding real estate. Not to say, like you spoke about, the fixer uppers, wholesaling is another big
Yeah.
strategy that's kind of in our province. We just don't touch it because we're just not experts at it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, peeling back the curtains in my business development, one reason why we talk a lot about buying and holding is because we don't need to be Nostradamus. Like, we don't need the crystal ball. We
Exactly.
know if you buy something today in the greater Toronto area anyways, and this is easy to find out whatever market you're in, is that every decade on average for the last 100 years, so every decade on average for the last 100 years, values have doubled. And so history being really our only teacher, definitely the best teacher in when it comes to real estate and stats, why not just invest into a strategy that you know is going to work, as long as you can think long term, as long as you can have that 10-year window. And so that's really kind of the clients that we're looking for. And our questions are based around that. And so if somebody says, well, no, I really want a fixer upper, in a lot of situations, we'll introduce them to another team, someone in a different area, because it's just not our expertise.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's, again, you know who you're looking at, you know what your expertise is. So, and just everybody else can just go do their thing. So as
Yeah,
far as
and
like now, I want to kind of get on the content creation piece, because I know a lot of people, no matter what kind of business you have, if you're any kind of entrepreneur, you have any kind of face to the world, everybody says, oh, you got to create content, you got to put it out there, you got to do your thing. But I think people struggle with it. I think they just don't know what to say. And they think, oh, everybody's going to get sick of looking at me and I'm just saying the same thing. But it's, how do you help people to discover what they should be talking about and then figure out where it's best to, like just to basically come up with their strategies?
yeah, so I think first and foremost, I sit down with people and just ask, like, why do you want to do this? Like, why? And if there's times we want to be like, I want to be a YouTube star and a TikTok star. And I say, that's great, that's amazing. If you haven't done it so far, like you haven't done one piece of content, chances are you're not going to stick with it. But on top of that, can't help you, because we're not a company that's helping people become YouTube stars and TikTok stars. I think it's great. Be an influencer. I mean, there's millions upon millions of people that are making hundreds of millions of dollars on YouTube. So I'm not here to tell you that stuff's not going to work. In fact, I know it will work, but the amount of effort you need to put in, as a real estate agent, I just don't see the value in it.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to be a real estate agent at the same time.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
right, like, how are you going to show houses, do deals and stuff? And so what we like to do is help people create educational content for their client base, their their email list, the people that are reaching out to them on a regular basis, anybody on their cell phone in their phone book. We want real estate agents and mortgage advisors, loan officers, to create content for their community. And so we do also ask questions like, well, how big, like, do you have a CRM? Do you have a central place that you have someone's name, phone number, and email? You'll be shocked the amount. There's 77,000 real estate agents in the greater Toronto area, which is a 50-mile radius.
Wow.
We're the biggest real estate board in North America, okay, with the amount of agents. And so I tell you this because out of the 77,000, I'm going to venture to say that only like 5,000, maybe 10 on the high end, maybe max, have actually a CRM, like a central, like they don't even have an Excel sheet with people's names. And so if they don't, we don't work with them because it's a waste of, it's not like, you're not going to stick with this. You're
Right.
not going to, we're not even worth it. Like, we're not cheap, but we're not super expensive either. But like, I think we're very, very affordable. However, you're not going to stick with it. And so I would strongly advise you not to get started if you don't have some type of CRM. Then if we notice that you have never done video, I don't think we're also the company for you. Why? Because we are going to put you through, for a lack of a better word, we're going to put you through the ringer of putting you in front of camera, and you're going to do it in front of other people. And so that might not work well for you. If I've seen that you've done some short form content, some Instagram reels, some TikTok, so on and so forth now, and you want to do this for your community, and you want to be educational, you're kind of our ideal client. So I would say those are kind of the basic questions. Also, like if somebody's doing 4 or 5 deals a year, I know you're kind of probably part-time in today's market in our area. I just don't think we're worth it. Like, we're not for everyone. I know that now after 9 months. I also try to make everyone similar to me, which is like, just get content out, not like do it like me, but do it like try to be like me, but actually just get content out. But I realized, wow, like there's like people have some really like strong, hard insecurities, right? I didn't see that coming. As real estate agents, where we play psychologists and so many other roles in my media company, I didn't see that coming. So that was interesting. But I even see it even more because people are afraid of what their family member, their client is going to say about them. Once we find out who is comfortable, they have a database, they do 10, 15 deals a year, then the way that we actually help is we have a list of topics in the hundreds that this agent or mortgage broker, loan officer can take on, and we'll shoot this content with you, and we'll be with you there, and like we're going to hold your hand throughout the process. Because I think the best thing that I like to hear from people is, oh my God, I was so scared, and now I'm in my 50-second video. Like that just like I love that kind of stuff more than when my team tells me that we just sold a piece of real estate and the money's like 30x what we're charging for our media services, 30, 40x more. It's watching somebody like getting over themselves. And I usually have a studio that I do all my podcasts on, but we're in some massive construction right now. And there's usually a sign right next to me that says removing friction. And it's just a reminder to my team that we need to make it as easy as possible for people to do business with us, but also a reminder for anybody who comes into my studio that you need to remove the friction inside like the 6 inches between your ears, right? Like there's just so much that holds us back, which is generally ourselves. And when you can like remove that, like the world starts opening up to you, because people want to help other people that are helping themselves, right? Like if you think about it, you ever notice if you're ever driving on the highway and someone's sitting in their car and they might have a flat tire, nobody comes and helps them. We just all drive by.
Yeah.
But the second we see someone push that car by themselves, people stop, pull over, because we see that person helping themselves. And so that's just a reminder that I think you need to start helping yourself, because then others will want to help you as well.
That's so true. It's funny what you say about like people video and being on the screen and stuff. I mean, I hear so many agents say, "Oh, I can't do video because I don't like the way I sound," and I'm thinking, "That's how you sound."
So
Sorry,
true.
we've all been
It's
listening
so
to you
funny.
all this time. It's like that.
Like Christine,
That's
like
it.
how many times did we say and or whatever other crutch we use as words? But if you and I were having a drink at the bar and I said or to you, and I said, Christine, sorry, let me start this over. I'm going to leave the bar and I'm going to come back. You'd be like, what do you want? Crack, Jas? Like, continue the conversation. So I tell people all the time on video, like, that's how you look. That's how you sound. Don't try to change it. Just be you and let people either resonate with you or
Or
not
not
resonate with you.
exactly.
But the cool thing is that you're not wasting anyone's time.
Right, exactly. This is the package. Love it or leave it. Right? I don't care which. But then, yeah, it's better because you don't have to meet them in person, then have them get rid of, like say, oh yeah, we're not a match, right?
Right. And as a salesperson, like when somebody comes into my office now, in the last, I'm going to say like 3.5 to 4 years that I've been really heavily focused on content creation. Anybody who comes into my office in that time period, I already know they got a sense of me. So they already made the decision that, Jas sometimes is waving his hands a lot and he comes with a lot of energy. And that I turn off a lot of people. I know I do. But the person who's in my office, it resonates with them.
Right.
They want to know a little bit more about me. And as a salesperson, as a business owner, if you've already built the credibility with someone and the authority, you have a massive leg up.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just a matter of you consistently producing that content.
Absolutely. So, Jas, this hour has just flown by, and I really love talking with you. I think I love your energy. I think you're awesome. So, but what do you wish I would have asked you that I didn't ask you? Like, what have you been like burning to tell us, and that I haven't like touched on?
I think first and foremost, I mean, I can tell why your podcast is so successful. I didn't even know we went for an hour, in all honesty. So like, thank you for having me. You know, I think sometimes I I don't think I've ever actually got it asked, and I just probably been thinking about it a lot more, which is it hard? Like how hard is it to run a business and an organization? And a couple of days this week, I was walking in, and I'm generally that first guy in, last guy to kind of leave, and that's just who I am. And I like the hardest thing with the lockdown of recent and the pandemic was just not being around my people because I thrive off of it. But as I was walking in, I was just reminding, like I don't know what came to me. It's like, if more people knew that it's pretty much the same thing every single day for me, like, yeah, I got to put out different fires, but I got to do the same thing I did yesterday. The same thing that I tried yesterday was get on phone calls. Like the podcast stuff is nice for me because it's a break of putting out all those fires and just getting on phone calls. But it's kind of the same thing that I got to do over and over and over again. That is the toughest part. But when you enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work. But don't get it mistaken that there will be days where you're just feeling it's monotonous. It's the same thing. It's kind of boring. Like it kind of is boring because you're doing the same thing every day. But when you have the ability to live on your own terms, it's probably the coolest thing in the world.
So basically, you're saying if you're thinking about leaving your corporate job, if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, stop thinking and just do it.
Ready, fire, aim. That's a massive sign behind my head, in my studio, which reminds everyone: stop being in paralysis by analysis. You're
Yeah.
not going to have it figured out. Stop waiting to figure it all out. You figure it out by pulling the trigger as many times as you possibly can, and then aiming along the way.
That sounds good. Might kill some innocent bystanders, but hey.
You might. When I say pull the trigger, I mean trying out different
I know,
things.
I'm just kidding.
Uh, um, but that's when you're gonna find you're too far left, too far right, right? And the worst thing that's gonna happen is that you're wrong. But then you learn something, you fail forward. Like
Right.
the amount of people that I come across that are thinking about building a team, or thinking about starting a business, or thinking about investing into real estate. Wow, if you just took the first step, the rest of the staircase starts to show itself. But you
Right.
have that first step is the steepest one. I know it's the toughest one, but success leaves clues, right? And so go find someone that's done it and learn from them.
That's excellent advice. Excellent advice.
Thank you.
Jess, thank you so much
You
for
know, I
being with
like the
us
sound
today.
of my own voice. I could go on. I could go for hours, Christina.
Well, we like the sound of your voice too. I appreciate your time today. And thank you, listeners, for being with us today. I want to just take 1 second and welcome, if I can find it really quickly. We are now in, and I want to thank you so much. We're now in 46 countries as the time of this taping. And that is, I'm just psyched. I'm so excited about that. It's amazing. And the other thing that I'm very excited about is I wanted to welcome in person our most recent YouTube subscribers, because I'm excited that we're getting more subscribers. I'm excited that people are watching this on YouTube instead of just watching it on the videos. So, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I should have had this ahead of time. I can't quickly see their names, but you know who you are. Thank you very much. And make sure that you share this episode of Jazz with a friend, because you know that we're all, they're going to love him as much as you did. And we'll see you next week.